Hello and welcome back to Warcraft Daily for today the 20th of March 2014. So in today's news, well, we just have one relatively interesting post from lore, but we do also have some extremely interesting information from MMO Champion about the paid character boost and actually how many people have taken part in it. Very interesting stuff. So all in all, a good bit of stuff to chat about in today's show. And if we do run a little bit short, then I'll just throw in some audience Q&A things to beef it up. So first of all, PvP. Well, Lore made a post on the forum talking about the various PvP changes in Warlords of Draenor. So in terms of improvements, he said that we're going to get CC disarmament, which means there's going to be a lot fewer CC spells, especially instant and autocast ones, and amongst the CCs that do remain, well, more of them will be sharing diminishing return categories. He also said that the health and scaling rebalance will help out as well. It basically means that little to no base resilience or battle fatigue is needed, and the classes are not going to be as reliant on gear to perform, and it should also do wonders for PvP class balance. Next, he said Ashran, which is their new open world PvP zone, which they are not quite ready to share details on. Very much looking forward to the details on that one, actually. Then he said that there are skirmishes, which are unrated arenas that can be queued with either solo or in a group. Then he said, spectator invites and tournament gear. So there's going to be additional tools to allow tournament organizers to run high-quality tournaments without needing direct intervention from Blizzard. Then next he said about the new built-in group finder, which should make it a lot easier to find party members for rated battlegrounds or arenas. That's the cross-realm group finder, it's not an auto-queue thing, by the way. And he then said, and this is really the bit that's worth saying, that there are more things coming that they have not talked about. But before we talk about the new things, I just want to mention, on the topic of the tournament things, I did not know that they were adding in tournament gear, and that is very good. I think right now, if you want to have a tournament, then it's, I don't know, do you need to get Blizzard to either swoop in and normalize everyone's gear, or do you just need to make sure that everybody gets the exact same sort of gear set between them all? It's a bit weird, and it's nice that they're going to be supporting that a little bit better, and the same thing goes for spectator modes as well. I think overall, Warlords could help the World of Warcraft esports scene quite a bit if they implement things right. But he did say that they have not talked about a few features, or at least a few things, so what could these be? Well, first of all, I think that Warlords of Draenor should ship with a new battleground, or 2, or 3. That might be a lot of content to ask for, but I think more battlegrounds is certainly a good thing. And another thing that I would like is just a better way of queuing for battlegrounds, because right now there are a lot of battlegrounds, and honestly, there's not a great deal of consistency between them. Okay, that's good, because it means they're all very different, but sometimes it can be a bit of a muddled hodgepodge, especially when you're queuing for a random battleground, but really, there's only one kind of battleground play that you like. Maybe you're a competitive player, or at least maybe a casual competitive player like myself, who prefers Warsong Gulch. And unless it's the call to arms, you can't do Warsong Gulch to be guaranteed with your first day's bonus, honor, and conquest when you win a random battleground. So I think that yes, they should add some new battlegrounds into Warlords of Draenor that are definitely more focused on actual PvP rather than vehicle stuff. But they should also find some sort of way to segment them off into maybe 2 or 3 separate queues for all the different kinds of battlegrounds, so the players can do the content that they want to do. Now, I do understand, though, that one potential issue with that is that nobody will be queuing for the Alterac Valley side of things. You know, maybe things like Alterac Valley, Isle of Conquest, similar maps to them. They just wouldn't be that popular, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but now that I think about it, I remember there being stats a while ago that said that AV is one of the most popular battlegrounds that there is. And apparently one of the major reasons for that is because of the Alliance win rate being so high, so all the poor Alliance people that just want to go in and get some quick honor or something end up farming the AVs. Anyway, so that's that. In terms of other features that they could add, I'm not particularly sure, honestly. I guess some people might want a dueling mode, or maybe a deathmatch, or just a flat team deathmatch kind of mode, in terms of maps. But I'm not really too sure if they would do either of those. I don't think the dueling really works in terms of formal PvP in World of Warcraft, because there are some classes which are just better at dueling than others. So yeah, I'm not too sure how all that will work out, but do let me know in the comments, are there any PvP features that you would like to see added to the game that they currently have not talked about for Warlords? Alright, so continuing on with Lore's post, he actually elaborated a little bit on how PvP balance and health pools and that kind of thing will be better in Warlords, and how it's going to avoid some of the annoyances of Mists of Pandaria. So he said that currently a level 90 character has got a high amount of base health and a low amount of base damage, and what this means is that our health from stamina does not increase as quickly as our damage or healing does from attack or spell power, which basically means that your gear could account for perhaps 80 to 90% of your damage, but only 40% of your health. And the effect of this is that there's just a massive kind of swing in damage done as we move forth on the expansion. If you move 3 tiers more, or 3 tiers past the very first one, sure, you have 40% more health, but you're also doing maybe 5 times the damage. And it's because of that that they needed to put in base resilience and make it so high, and the same with base fatigue or battle fatigue. So for Warlords, they're going to make health and damage scale in a far more linear manner. Base health is far lower, and the effectiveness of stamina is going to be increased, so that our health and damage should go up at roughly the same rate. This should also ensure that PvP at high level gear levels and low gear levels feel similar. It's certainly the case that in Mists of Pandaria, PvP on a low gear versus low gear character feels a bit different from a high gear character versus a high gear character. Then he also said that they've increased health pools in general, and basically they're going to be much larger in comparison to the damage that players are able to do to each other today. This means that resilience and battle fatigue are not going to be needed anymore because, well, okay, so the reason that they were added is just that our damage went up so much over time that you would have just been killing people far too fast, and that's no longer going to be needed in Warlords. Overall, I think these are all very good changes, and the nice effect of not needing resilience and battle fatigue as much is that it nearly felt like you would get a gear increase, but that would immediately then be nerfed by resilience and battle fatigue. So it's nice that that will no longer happen, because I think that everyone involved knows it was a clunky system, and Blizzard do as well. That's why they fixed it. It was kind of like a band-aid solution that did its job, certainly, for Mists, and I think that has resulted in Season 14 and 15 being pretty fun, actually. Anyway, so next we have a post from MMO Champion. Basically, they like to compile graphs for us, and I have no idea exactly how they are able to do this, but I think it involves writing a program that uses the Armory API to harvest data or something like that. Anyway, they basically show the stats and that kind of thing of boosted characters, and they actually did this by finding out what characters were still wearing that level 90 boost starter gear. So first of all, I'm just going to list off the actual percentages here. So 5.69% were Death Knights, 10.6% were Druids, 9.97% were Hunters, 9.31% were Mages, 9.53% were Monks, 7.28% were Paladins, 7.61% were Priests, 8.09% were Rogues, 11.2% were Shamans, 12.24% were Warlocks, and 8.47% were Warriors. And that is with a total number of boosted characters being 100,000, or no, it was 106,000, I think, yes. So that's 106,000, that's a big number. If we just, 1 second, yeah, okay, so we just do a little bit of maths here, and we multiply that all out, it ends up being, I think, about 6 million. Yeah, like $6 million in terms of revenue, so that's interesting. I wish that's the kind of thing I was able to do, because, damn. But, yeah, I mean, that's how many people seem to have boosted as of the time that they made that graph. But of course, that number will go up as Warlords comes closer and more people pre-order and that kind of thing. And I'd say that maybe in the week going up to Warlords of Draenor, a lot of people are just going to get back in and boost the characters, which will cause that number to go up. So, in terms of what I actually think about the numbers, well, Death Knight was the lowest number, and I guess this is because many people already have a high level one since you can start level 55. Still though, I think there are definitely some people who made DKs, got them quickly up to level 60, and then boosted them so they could get the level 600 professions, because if you're a big profession person, maybe that's worth it to you. Especially because it does save, I don't know, maybe from 14 to 20k in terms of the fees for leveling professions. Okay, so next, Paladins were the second lowest, and I think the Paladins are already very popular, so perhaps a lot of people just already had one, I suppose, maybe. As for the most boosted class, well, that was the Warlock, actually, with the Shaman being a close second. Now, Warlocks I totally understand. I'd imagine that a lot of players just wanted to experience that Greenfire quest, so that could perhaps have made them lean towards the Warlock. Plus, it's a class that also, in terms of balance, is doing very well. It's not doing well in terms of balance, but it's certainly doing a lot of damage, depending on your gear level and with the way some things scale. So maybe some people who really want to get raiding or something like that are going for Warlocks, perhaps. And then, yeah, as for Shamans, I have no idea why they were so popular, but they evidently were, because they got 12 or 11.2% of the level 90 boosts. So, yeah, all in all, kind of interesting stuff. If you have boosted up a character, let me know what character you boosted in the comments, and more importantly, what kind of thing you're going to do with it. Are you starting off PvP, or I don't know, raiding? Like, what's your deal? And I guess, I think, yeah, I'd say a lot of people have probably found a bit of a new lease of life in the game with their boosted characters, because they can maybe take it up into PvP, or just something that is completely different from the regular content that they do on a sort of day in, day out basis. I think that's definitely a nice thing about the boost. I think it's definitely reinvigorated a few aspects of the game for me. Like, I've been running around the Timeless Isle killing mobs, and I've actually had a damn good time of it, honestly. Yeah, I think all in all, it's worked out pretty well for them. Okay, so in the interest of beefing out the show a little bit, let's take one or two questions from one of my more recent Q&A videos. So first of all, we have one from Septarian, and he said, I don't think this will happen in Warlords, but maybe in the next expansion that focuses on Azeroth it could. Cataclysm happened years ago, based on the timeline with Mists of Pandaria and now Warlords of Draenor. Do you think they could do an event like AQ where servers gather resources to rebuild some of the towns and cities the Deathwing ruined? A dam for 1,000 needles maybe, and perhaps they could fix up the burning half of Stormwind. He said that he doesn't want the zone to revert to a pre-Kata version, but maybe just to feel like it had moved on a little in terms of the world actually changing. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't think it will happen though, just because Blizzard and, well, just MMO development in general is always pushing forward. So this would be looking back, and it would take a lot of work, but if there was some way for this to happen, I would love it. I've always been of the opinion that, well, okay, so when Cataclysm happened, I thought, right, these zones are cool, but I wonder how it will feel in a few years when, the Deathwing stuff's over, and we're just left with a bit of a shitty broken world. And I personally think that, well, I was right to be worried about that, because I think Azeroth, at least old Azeroth, has lost a lot of its charm. The zones that I enjoy the most now are the ones that didn't get massive world changes. They're ones that got pretty good quest changes, but ones in which the entire world wasn't just, like, ripped apart and destroyed. Don't get me wrong, plenty of those zones are fantastic, but there's a lot of charm that's gone in a good few areas, and that does make me a little bit sad, I think. So, yeah, it's a problem. Now, as for Blizzard ever doing it, I don't think they would, but if they were to do it, I think an AQ-style event would be pretty damn cool. I've got no idea how they would kind of build up the context to us doing that. So I'm not sure how they would do it, but in general, actually, I would just like an AQ event again, because it's very cool. I missed out on it completely, and I think the vast majority of people that are watching right now completely missed out on an AQ. But I love the idea of a server coming together and the community actually completing these goals with each other. I think that's extremely cool, and yeah, if we can find a way of doing that in the future, then absolutely, it would be nice. Another point as well that's worth making, well, just for the actual AQ World event itself, like the part when everyone came together and fought the Kiraj, well, back in the day, the servers were hampered by performance issues, okay? But here's the thing, it's, 8 years on now? We've got better servers, we have the technology, we could really pull off an event like this. So I think that if Blizzard were able to do it, it would be absolutely freaking badass and fantastic. You know what? I think that for the Warlords of Draenor intro thingy, what should happen is a Iron Horde expeditionary force crosses through the Black Gate, or the Dark Portal even. Yeah, they just come forth from Middle-earth and somehow get over here. No, they come through the Dark Portal and they start attacking us, and it's a full-on server-wide thing. Because you know what? I miss the old style of world event, like in the Burning Crusade where demons invaded Azeroth, or Wrath of the Lich King where there was the undead plague. I thought those things were so cool, and it's just a little bit of a pity that Mists of Pandaria had the siege, or the thing of Theramore, which wasn't fun. So Yeah, you can do it, Blizzard. I believe in you. Anyway, that's it for today's show. In terms of little links and things I need to pimp at the end, go check out my twitch.tv stream. I may stream a little bit later on tonight. Not exactly sure how that'll turn out. But in general, I want to stream 3 times a week. And yeah, it should be a ton of fun, so be sure to check that out. Then there's also my Twitter link and Patreon link, which are other cool places where you can find me. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.